The once clean and clear rivers and water bodies in the country continue to bear the scars of relentless galamsey activities. These illegal mining operations have turned clear, sparkling waters into a murky poison flows choked with toxic chemicals. The rivers, once the lifeblood of the people, are now shadows of their former selves, their banks eroded with their death, destroyed by the creep of gold extraction. The aquatic life of the rivers and water bodies in Ghana have all but vanished, choked by mercury and cyanide used in the crude extraction processes. Fishermen who once relied on these rivers now stand helpless on the banks, their nets empty and their hearts heavy with the loss of their livelihoods. The rivers, once a source of sustenance and joy, have become a symbol of despair and destruction.
What you see are as a result of the galamsey activities that are done upstream. All the silts are washed down here. They have destroyed our livelihoods. This has left us struggling in this town. Our fishing business has gone down. All we can boast of now is empty nets.
Along the banks of the Pra River, Alfred Loko stands, staring at the murky water. Alfred fishes and farms here at the Anlo Beach, a community near Shamai in the western region. Alfred remembers a time when he could see the riverbed, clear and swarming with fish. Now the water is a thick, toxic sludge, the result of illegal mining activities. Galamsey had turned the lifeblood of the land into poison.
When the mining was not done in the Pra River, we were using it to do all our chores, including drinking it. All we needed to do was to put in camphor. We were using it to cook and wash. Everything has been destroyed now.
First person, yet me the banana dinner. Who the Sibunyama, Yama, if you over to Madia sea. Upper, Musoni Ogra, over to Manu. See a bibia Poto aside.
Alfred laments the loss of their livelihood, describing the daily struggle to secure water for drinking and household chores as a relentless battle.
Ebi abula, Bakadia say aside, Unuma Abaha.
We now resort to wells. The lagoon here is completely destroyed. It's unsafe to drink it because there may be complications. All we drink is sachet water, and this is very expensive.
Just on the other side of the river is Francis Kofi. Francis appears unfazed by the destruction caused by the galamsey activities and still feels there could be life in the river.
Okay, ban. Yo Jimmy ya yonku jama. Achia kata kere onya. Nanyeba achia na chi zazava. Ite ku achia nuna.
This river used to be full of fine sand. We could drink from it when it rains. But now, due to the galamsey activities, the river is polluted. We cannot drink nor use the water for any domestic activity. We also used to do small fishing here, but the fishes are gone. We are struggling as we have to depend on the well or rainwater in the rainy season.
Amidst the disappointment, he bemoans the irony of living beside a once thriving river, now so polluted that the community is forced to buy sachet water and rely on rainwater for drinking and household chores. The sights of the murky, lifeless river constantly reminds them of their predicament. It highlights the bitter contrast between their past abundance and present scarcity.
Because of the washing done by the galamseyers, the river is filled with chemicals, weeds and mud. The fishes are all gone due to this situation. If you fetch your water for drinking, it is full of mud. We are really struggling to get drinking water because this one is no longer safe.
Sandwiched between the vast expanse of the sea and the winding Pra River, the Anlo Beach community faces a dire predicament. Here, fishermen and farmers once thrived, drawing sustenance from both water and land. But now they are caught in a harsh double agony. The sea, in its ceaseless fury, encroaches upon their homes, threatening to erase their very existence. Seeking refuge in the river also offers no solace, as the waters, once beaming with life, have been poisoned by the ravages of galamsey activities, leaving the community in a state of despair and uncertainty. In the Anlo Beach community, polytanks stand like silent guards, collecting precious rainwater to sustain the residents. These tanks, along with a scattering of wells, are the lifelines for households, providing water for daily chores in a place where every drop is cherished. Despite the increasing cost of the sachet water, the community is forced to rely on it for drinking, a costly and unsustainable practice.
Those days, our mothers used to fetch it to wash their dishes, their clothes, for bathing, but these days it's very difficult for them to even fetch the water. You can testify it because it's very dirty.
Daniel Fiase is appalled about the lack of action to deal with the menace of illegal mining that is wiping out their livelihoods.
For now, what we have adopted is to get a community well, so that one will help us, because relying on this water is not anything 100%. So we are no more relying on this water.
You live by the river, but you are not...
Yeah, relying on it.
Do they still fish in this?
The fish, they are doing it, but it's not like those days.
In this river?
Yes, because since the water is very dirty and a lot of chemicals, it is also affecting the life of the fishes in the water, or the aquatic organisms in the water.
In the Shamar district of the Western region, 6 communities have become a testament to the havoc caused by rampant illegal mining. Over 3 years, diarrhea cases have surged alarmingly from 5,000 to 10,000, a stark indicator of the deteriorating water quality. Communities relying on contaminated water sources are at risk of waterborne diseases. The long-term exposure to heavy metals, according to scientists, can lead to chronic health conditions, including neurological and kidney problems.
Anytime you mine gold, the soil, God created the world in such a way that once everything is locked up, we don't have problem. But once you disturb the soil and you pick the gold comes with arsenopyrite rocks. So once you pick the gold and take out the gold from it, the others are there to cause havoc. One particular chemical is arsenic. Those days, arsenic was used as pesticides, weedicides. These arsenic are always with the gold mine operations. People use mercury in extracting the gold. Mercury is also another problem. Once you apply more fertilizer, you are adding more cadmium into the environment. And these are all carcinogens. They can cause cancers, they can affect our kidneys, they can do whatever they are there to do. But these are heavy metals, they are metals. Even though it's so easy to clean them up, there's a possibility to clean them up. But that comes at a cost. And that is why most people now prefer groundwater to surface water. But in our setting, if you want to use groundwater, how many can afford? The surface water is supposed to be the cheapest. And that is what we need to protect as a nation, as individuals. Those of us who find ourselves around this place, we are directly affected because we get our water from the Pra River. And today, the Pra River has become a mining hub. A whole factory of mining gold is at the Pra River. So we are directly affected. Even though all the water bodies that have been abstracted by Ghana Water Company are affected, we are the most affected. Look at the color of the Pra River. It's no longer a river, it's become a mud, more or less, with all these heavy metals and the mercury. And so it becomes a problem if we want to use it directly. But even the sachet water, we don't know how they are backed. Whether it's the same tap water that they go to hide somewhere. Everything is possible in Ghana and do that. So to avoid this, we need to come as a nation to look at all these things, and together we find a way to clean the water and for all of us to get good and safe water to drink.
Professor David Kofi Suman, an esteemed environmental scientist at the University of Cape Coast, sounds the alarm on the relentless galamsey activities ravaging Ghana's rivers and water bodies. With a deep sense of urgency, he highlights the catastrophic impacts of chemicals seeping into these waters, posing a grave threat to the health of countless Ghanaians.
You see, those days when we clarify water, we use just the water stands for some time and the sediment drops and it becomes clean without adding much chemicals. Today, because of the nature, it's mud. It's not water. They are squeezing water out of mud. And so they will have to add a lot of chemicals, alum, to be able to settle this thing that we are talking about. And apart from the cost implication, even our own health, because every chemical is dangerous, even water is dangerous. That's why we are all concerned about water today. The amount of chemical they will have to add before we can get clean water. And they are not at their level. They are operating far below their level capacity. Because with this situation, you can't even get to 60% of your capacity. They are always working beneath the capacity which they are supposed to be. So water company is overwhelmed. And they have to produce water at all means for us. No matter what the cost, they have to produce the water for us. And so the issue is a bit complicated. We have done the research. We know what is in the water. Heavy metals are there. Pesticides are there. Pharmaceuticals are there. Endocrine disruptors are there. So how do we get it out?
For Professor Suman, the toxic brew unleashed by illegal mining is a ticking time bomb, endangering lives with every drop that taints the once pure rivers.
If you go to our hospitals, majority of the problem we have at the hospitals are emanating from environmental issues. I think it's about the time that media brings them out. Because if somebody is getting kidney problems and whatever, it's basically through what the person ingests into the body. Whatever goes in the human body. So what is it that is getting into ourselves? What are we taking in? The food, the water, the air, the soil on which we are growing our plant. So this is a serious issue that we have relegated it. Nobody talks about it.
The Pra River, the Ofin River, the Ankobra River, and many other rivers that once represented life in our various communities have been desecrated. There's virtually no life in them. All the living things that once depended on them for their survival are now no more. Traditional norms and customs once acted as vigilant guardians of our water resources, shielding them from human encroachment and pollution. These water bodies were revered as sacred abodes of gods and ancestral spirits, untouchable and protected by cultural taboos. This reverence ensured that rivers, lakes, and streams remained pure, untouched by the hands of those who desecrate them. Now these age-old practices have faded into memory. The sanctity once accorded to these natural treasures has been overshadowed by the allure of monetary gain. Sacred waters, once no-go zones, are now vulnerable to exploitation. Their purity sacrificed at the altar of profit. What was once protected by deep-seated respect for tradition is now undermined by the clinking of coins as the sacred is sold off piece by piece. The Ghana Water Company continues to post challenges affecting the processing of water for the consuming public. At their water treatment plant here at Sechahiman, illegal miners continue to mine very close to the intake point of the company.
This is the Sechahiman water treatment plant. In fact, where I stand now is the intake section of the treatment plant. This is where the plant here draws water from the Pra River. That is the main source of water that they use in processing the water you and I have in our various homes. But where this plant sits is where the galamsey activities go on unabated. They care less. There is nothing that even amuses them. When they are even tagged, it is there that they come in their droves. In fact, where we stand, we could see a lot of them having a field day on the Pra River.
The water treatment plant is under siege. The company's workers stand on the front lines, waging an ongoing war against the murky, sludge-filled water that was once a crystal-clear lifeline for countless communities. The water treatment plants, once efficient hubs of purification, now resemble battlefields. Here, modern equipment struggles against overwhelming turbidity levels, constantly straining under the burden. The filtration systems, once designed to handle sediment-free water, now groan under the weight of heavy metals and salts, leading to frequent breakdowns.
So the Sechahiman water treatment plant was designed with turbidity levels of about between 800 to 1,000. But now we hit turbidities of about 11,000. Yeah, yesterday I think turbidity was about 9,000. So turbidity, like I told you, you can say is about how unclean the water has become in terms of silts. So water or a treatment plant that is designed to abstract water without silt is now abstracting the water with silt. So you abstract the water. You have to, so if it is, let's say, a full container, half of it is already silt. So it means that after treatment, half of it is waste. So if you are expecting to get 10 buckets, you get 5 buckets. So if you produce in 24 hours, you should get 10 buckets in 24 hours. Now you are going to get 5 buckets in 24 hours. So definitely you will get less water to supply to the people. That is not it. The other things that come with it is the facilities are not designed also to treat this turbid water. So you have your pumps breaking down. You use a lot of energy to treat turbid water, and many times you have to shut down, clean the system again. So when all these are happening, you see that you will get insufficient water in the system to supply to your people. That's the challenge we have. Ordinarily, we will use alum as our conventional coagulant. Now we use a more expensive chemical, which is like 4 times expensive than alum. A polymer is very expensive. So water treatment cost is really going up. As I said, apart from chemical costs, you are breaking down your pumps very often.
Central Regional Manager for the Ghana Water Company, Eric, said Etiapa reviews the challenges the company continues to grapple with in their bid to process water and pump into the homes of Ghanaians.
The pumps over there were supposed to last minimum 40 years. This is the third time in 12 years or so. I think about 14 years, 2008 to now, 14, 15 years, that we are changing it. So something that should last 40 years, 10 years is gone. So you can see what is happening now. So losing 70% of a lifetime of an equipment is not an easy thing. And these are very expensive pumps, really, really expensive pumps. But I think the best way is not even to cause it. You create a problem, then the whole water treatment system must be re-engineered to take care of all these things. Then we have to go downstream to check again whether they are there. Who bears all this cost when we know that prevention is better than all these things?
In 2022, the Ghana Water Company reported high consumption of water treatment chemicals, alum and lime, because stability levels were high. It highlighted high frequency in water quality monitoring and management systems, high siltation of intake sumps, frequent wearing and replacement of electromechanical equipment, high volumes of sludge generation and downtimes, high process loss due to frequent dislodging and backwashing. This has resulted in high water used in treatment, about 40 to 50% process losses in systems affected by galamsey activities. The turbidity levels of the river, measured in stack numbers, tell a tale of despair. What was once clear and life-giving is now a murky, opaque challenge, with turbidity levels soaring to unprecedented heights. Each day, the company's engineers must tweak and tinker, coaxing the overworked machines back to life, knowing that every breakdown delays the precious flow of water to homes in dire need.
This is silt, and so out of the amount of water that we have fed here, look at the amount of silt we find in this amount of water. So it tells you the kind of difficulty the Ghana Water Company goes through in processing the water and getting water pumped into our various homes. All of these things have arisen because of the galamsey activities.
But the Professor of Environmental Health at the University of Cape Coast, Professor David Kofi Suman, says the country may be heading towards a water crisis, an imminent crisis that should make the country sit up and deal aggressively with the galamsey menace. He believes Ghana Water Company's treatment regime is unable to take the heavy metals and other chemicals washed into the rivers as a result of galamsey activities.
The fact is that our water treatment system was handed over by our colonial masters during independence. And it does three basic things. You get the water, it clarifies the water to make it clean, and then we chlorinate the water to kill germs and pathogens in the water. These are the basic things our water treatment system does. Anything other than that is a problem. But during those days, the pesticides, the heavy metals, the endocrine disruptors, they all get into the water body. But our treatment system does not take care of it. It doesn't attempt to take anything out. So they are always in the surface water that is being treated and piped for us, which makes our situation very vulnerable. And if steps are not taken, we only focus on galamsey. Galamsey is a problem because that is what everybody sees. It's a real problem, but there are others that are equally problematic. Pesticides, herbicides, they are all pharmaceuticals, everything drains into water bodies. Everything that exists on earth, when it rains, it moves into our water bodies. And so as a nation, we need to look carefully and critically at the way we are treating our water.
Professor Suman cautions that if the issue of galamsey isn't addressed, the country may face a future where importing water becomes a necessity, and a surge in waterborne diseases will plague the population.
So from that point of view, fine, they are doing their work. They are treating the way it's supposed to be treated, and it's clean water. But in real sense, we've gone past that line. That we need to further do other works to clean the water. But they cannot do it because they are handicapped. They don't have the facilities. So if Ghana now thinks that we have used this system for about 70 years or 60 years, we need to change it. Because there should be proper monitoring and evaluation of whatever we do in a country. Let us properly evaluate the treatment system handed over to Ghana Water Company and find out whether it is fit for purpose for today, the 21st century water treatment systems.
Despite the odds, the Ghana Water Company perseveres. The treated water, painstakingly processed from the sludge, is finally pumped into the homes of hopeful residents. But the struggle is evident in every drop. The water, although clear to the eye, carries the heavy weight of a journey fraught with threats of contaminants.
How we treat our water bodies is what reflects in what we call galamsey. If we had the passion for protection of our water bodies, some of these things would not even come. And so it is not just the galamsey, it's all human activities. I think that, like other countries do, water bodies are national security issues. They are national security zones. If Water Resources Commission, though working in it, they are civilians, but it's under the Ministry of Defense. And let's test the resilience of our military and see whether that problem will not be resolved. As at now, yes, once in a while we bring them in to go on, but that's a flash, it goes off. But if you make it their responsibility, and they cannot stop our water bodies to be polluted, how can they guarantee citizens that when there is an invasion of foreign forces, they will be able to stop them? And I believe strongly that if it becomes a national security issue, and Water Resources Commission, though it's a civilian department, but under the jurisdiction and supervision of the military or national security, I'm sure this thing will give me 100 days. I'm sure it will be, because they will be marked by the quality of water. And I know the men. I know what they can do if given that responsibility. So I think that we've gotten to a stage where we need to be brute about it. We need to be truthful about it. We need to confront it head on. If we leave it in the hands of politicians, look, Mr. A will be saying, when you are come, I'll bring them back. Mr. B will say, when I come, I will make sure they don't do it, and it becomes a game.
But it's the politicians that control these.
So that's what I'm saying. That so move it off their jurisdiction, under the jurisdiction of CDS, and see whether there will not be a change. For me, if given the opportunity, that's what I will.
The journey to save Ghana's rivers and water bodies from the destructive grip of galamsey is not just a fight for environmental preservation, but a battle for the soul of the nation. The illegal miners continue to dig deep into the bellies of Ghana's rivers, destroying the lifeblood of many communities across the country. For Joy News, my name is Richard Kwejo. For Joy News' Hotline.
I don't know how you feel about this, watching this documentary detailing where we are now with our water crisis, and potentially in the future we could be importing water. This is devastating to even think about it. But let's discuss this. In the studio with me is Dr. Bob Alpha. He's Executive Director at the Water Resources Commission. We also have Awula Sewa, Coordinator for Eco-Conscious Citizens, and Vincent Opong Asamoah, the Ranking Member for the Works and Housing Committee. But first, I want to speak to Erastus Asare Donko. He's editor at Love FM in Kumasi. Erastus, many thanks for your time this morning on the AM show. You have documented the impact of galamsey on our water bodies extensively. First, I want to take your impression on this documentary. And can you describe the most striking things that you have seen in your activities so far?
Thank you very much. And we had started documenting this, what is being said now, way back 3 years ago, when we went to the Dabuase intake point of the PRA, and we fetched samples. We also tested them to reveal the heavy metals that we have across them in the country. From the PRA River, we've been going on it from Chifo Praso, Chifo Kotoche, and Chifo Etimokwa areas where Chinese miners are polluting directly the river source. And so we have been talking about this for a very long time, and we have been drawing the attention of the country to it, but no action. If we had acted 3 years ago, we wouldn't have gotten here, because it started around 1,800 NTU when we first went there. It came to 7,000. We did reports on it. Then we are now at 14,000. Only God knows where we will get to. As we speak, the most striking thing is that those who are polluting it are still on it. When you go to Achiribwanda, the people there are now buying aluminum sulfate to settle the water before they use it to bath. Those who are polluting it have not stopped. Even as we speak, they are still there. And so I don't know where we can start from, but we can start from the top and whittle it down and declare, as the law says, a no-go area for mining close to water bodies and even on water bodies.
Right. Erastus, would you say that your work and the other things that other media, pressmen are doing to highlight the effects of galamsey is reaching the attention of our leaders at all?
I can tell you that our leaders are aware. They are aware of our reports. They also get reports from the BNI almost every single week on the pollution levels. Those who are polluting it, we are reliably informed that there are reports that are filed from these security agencies on a daily basis, and so they know. And it's time for them to act, because we do not have the law in our own hands to do this. Right. The only person entrusted with the law is the president and the government.
Erastus, thank you so much for joining us. And let me come back to the studio with me. Doc, many thanks for your time here. So like Erastus was saying, we started from 1,800 to 7,000, and now Ghana Water Company is reporting 14,000 NTU. Paint the picture for me of the state of pollution, turbidity of our water bodies, and how this serious problem has evolved over the years.
Thank you very much. I think the picture is very clear for all of us to see. If you look at the devastation of our water bodies, especially within the southwestern system, you cannot describe it with words. It is heart-wrenching. In fact, sometimes if you see it on pictures, it is a bit milder than if you go to the field.
So these photos don't even do justice
to depict the actual situation on the ground. We are running into a crisis when it comes to water resources, especially within the southwestern area. We have been talking about this for so long, and I think action needs to be taken. If we don't take time, in the next 2-3 years, we will not even be able to get 20% of water supply, for the southwestern areas.
Doc, please speak up.
And that is that will be a big challenge for Ghana if we cannot even supply the basic, things for our citizenry, that is water. It has been with us for so long, and I will say this is the right time, if not already too late, to take action immediately. Otherwise, we are heading to serious crisis. Not only for water supply, the land is heavily degraded completely. It is going to affect agriculture. It is affecting the ecosystem. There are health concerns in terms of the chemicals in our water bodies that gets into the fishes. Eventually, we are going to lose almost every life in the water bodies. And the picture is gloomy.
But as a commission, you have the mandate to regulate and manage Ghana's water resources and coordinate government policies, you know, in relation to them. So I'm sure that includes having access to data, the statistics of how bad or good it is. Do you in fact have access to these figures, and what do you do with them?
Okay, thank you very much. Yes, we do monitor the water bodies every week. So we have the water quality data. We even have pictures. Normally when we take the samples, we also take the pictures. We report to our ministry monthly on the state of our water resources.
You mean the ministry receives reports on the state of our water resources every month?
That is part of our operational, scheme. So we make sure it is not just the Southwestern system, but we undertake monitoring across the country. But when you talk about galamsey, it is purely within the Southwestern system, the Ankobra, the Pra, the Tano. And of course, it even has international implications because the water bodies from Bia and Tano flows to Ivory Coast. And they are complaining about the state of the pollution from Ghana. And this has international, repercussions. We have information on the state of our water bodies. What is left is the action to address it. So,
and what's the challenge there? I saw Professor Asuman was saying that nobody talks about it enough, and even when we do, you, the commission, you're civilians, and so really, it's out of your hands. But is it really out of your hands? The taking action part?
Not entirely. Action normally will start, first of all, by knowing what the situation is, and that is why we carry out the monitoring. We also make sure we prescribe solutions as to what to do. But where it has gotten to, it is now an issue of national security. We require that the security apparatus will intervene because we have to arrest these people, we have to stop the operations, and then again, regulators can only provide information, for national security to take action. And when it comes to that, I think we are doing our best. There are areas where we may not have access to the water because these galamseyers have their own personal security, and there are times where they won't even allow access to the Water Resource Commission. But we still manage to take pictures using satellite images, and then we are able to deduce the turbidity. And those areas that we can take the samples, we do that, and then we report appropriately.
I keep using the word devastating because that's what it is. And I want to bring in Aula Sewa into the conversation at this point from eco-conscious citizens. I mean, first of all, what's your impression of the state of affairs now?
I mean, we can all see that the state of affairs is dire. Nobody living on this planet can be unaware of what is going on. So the time has ended for raising awareness. We know the state of the situation. I don't think we want to wait to see people dropping on the floor like flies before we begin to take action. We need to declare a state of emergency. If it takes, I keep on saying Ghanaians are not angry enough. We are being poisoned, and it's distressing to hear that even when the water is clear, it doesn't mean that the toxic chemicals are not there. You still have the mercury, cyanide, they are colorless. So you are sort of deceived when you see the clear water. At least when it's brown, you don't notice. But when it's clear, you are deceived into thinking that it's safe. And it might not be safe, it might be quite dangerous. So I think the time has come for Ghanaians to march to Flagstaff House and say, you need to declare a state of emergency. Or we need to call a general strike and say that until the state of emergency is declared, the army goes and polices these areas, causes the arrest of the illegal miners, prosecutions, and we begin to take the matter seriously. Nothing should go on because we are being poisoned to death and we're all sitting there. It's not a question of...
I don't think we're all sitting. I don't think you are even...
But when I say we're all sitting,
you've been doing something.
The term that those who can take action. The journalists have the ones who have put their lives on the line. We've heard about water going there, they are facing danger. They've done all they can do. So it's a question of now the next step. We need to all march to Flagstaff House and say that we're not going to sit or stand idly by whilst we're being poisoned. I have an example like at Tromsø. The people there are very committed. They are cocoa farmers and they are activists. In fact, they have cases in court right now to stop community mining, which in many ways is the same as galamsey. They had wind that excavators were coming to their landscape. We contacted the regional minister. The excavators got there. He did nothing that we are aware of because the excavators began to destroy the place, the farmlands. They've even poisoned the once pristine Atronsu stream. So when we know that we are being poisoned, why do we want to add the unpoisoned streams, the list of poisoned waters? I can't get my head around it. And the time for talking is over. The time for talking is over. We need to act today. Yesterday would have been the best time.
Let me usher in Vincent Opong Asamoah. He's ranking member for the Works and Housing Committee in Parliament. Thank you so much for joining us, Mr. Opong. We've been following the conversation to this point. From what we now know, the ministry in charge of our water resources receives reports every month on the state of the devastation that galamsey activities are causing on our water bodies. What's your take on the matter?
Yeah, good morning to our cherished listeners.
Kindly speak up for us.
Yeah, good morning to our cherished listeners this morning. It is not pleasant, my sister, looking at what we are experiencing in the country. I am very sure that at least the government, they are all aware about what is happening. You know, this can only happen when political actors are all involved in this situation. As a result, we cannot even put the law enforcement well covered. You know, Parliament has all.
Your voice is a bit faint, so we are struggling to hear you. Could you please speak up?
It is unfortunate. I've just got into Accra with my constituency.
Okay, all right. We'll make do with what we have.
So
yeah.
that's how every come back. So that's the situation. And I think that is the best I can do. The question is that we are of the stability level of our water out of pollution by these mining activities in this country. And as a result, you know, even the price of water for consumption has become so expensive. And, you know, Ghana Water Company has always been complaining about it. But when we come to enforcement of our bylaws or our laws, you know, there's a limitation on Ghana Water Company as to what they can do. And you know, it is something that the head of government in this country will have to take keen interest. But if you ask yourself, even if you go to Eastern region where the president comes from, within the enclave where the president himself comes from, galamsey activities are even worse within that enclave. So you ask yourself, how come we have all the apparatus, everything to protect our water body, yet we are not doing it? The fact of the matter is that political actors are deeply involved in this act. As a result, there's no political to fight against the pollution of our water bodies. I remember once I was airborne, I took pictures, we were going to Tamale, and I took pictures from Eastern region. You can see straight away patches where these galamsey activities are taking place, even when you are airborne. And in Eastern region, you just read from Mother Ghana as to why we are doing this to our environment. And if they tell you they don't know the implication, the health implication to the citizens, then we are joking. They know everything. But the fact of the matter is that they value money in their pockets more than the lives of our citizens. So that is a big situation. They know anytime the figures come out after Ghana Water, we call Water Resource Commission, when they take their figures, day in and day out, it's deteriorating, it's not improving. Yet they can't do anything about it. Meanwhile, we know we have the security agencies, we have everyone, whoever is sent to the site is compromised when they find out that political actors are deeply in it. You are asking them to go and protect. Meanwhile, you are deeply in it. So they are all compromised. And I don't know. Let me commend the chiefs and people of Bono and the Bono East. You know, these are the two regions you can't find galamsey activities anywhere. So at times when some people are getting it right, Let's praise them so that other regions can also take cue from it. Some state can even give permit for them to do mining. But the chiefs and people within this enclave will say, no, we will not allow you to do it. You have to follow certain principles. And then so far, we don't have galamsey activities in Bono. We don't have galamsey activities in Bono East. So why is it that the other regions are unable to control these activities? Is it because they need money more than Bono and Bono East? I'm not sure they are richer than Bono and Bono East, because people are gainfully employed, they are doing their farming activities and other activities. So if we want to mine, no one is preventing anybody from mining, but let's do clean business. You can mine without affecting the environment whatsoever. Right. If you go to Europe and other places where they do mining, don't they do mining? But do they destroy their water bodies? The fact of them, we don't want to even make mention about it because our party and political actors are deeply in it.
Mr. Opong,
it is something that...
Mr. Opong, you said those who should be taking action are compromised. The commission in charge are civilians, that is according to Professor Suman. He said they're just civilians and it's a matter of defense. And so what can we do? You sit in Parliament as a ranking member on Works and Housing, on the Works and Housing Committee. What are you also doing to ensure that the water coming into our homes are not the reasons that we have to seek medical attention? There was a recent report about children being born these days with cleft lip. And it could be attributed to a number of cases, but it's also because of the kind of water that we are using in our domestic activities. So what are you doing about it as someone in Parliament, as someone in power?
My sister, what can you do? You always summon the Minister for Water and Sanitation. You bring the Minister for Lands and Forestry, and they'll come and give you English, and they go away. What can you do? How can you even function the Minister? I think leadership of government, who is the president, who gave appointments to these authorities, will have to act. If they are not up to the task, who has the power to reshuffle his cabinet? And look at it, that's what I'm saying that. You know, leadership is not serious about this galamsey fight. Every serious government should be able to fight this. But they are deeply in it. So after talking about it, there's no action. So what do you expect? And I'm so worried about the health implications of their activity. But people are thinking about money more than even the health situation of our citizens. And let me tell you, the cost of treatment of water, we have visited most of the intake points. And most of the intake points are so polluted. At a certain point, you can see some of them mining in the catchment area. When we take the source of our base water, they mine in it. So who can be so confident if you are not connected in the presidential administration? Who can be so close to do this? They bring in Chinese people from outside. In those days, it used to be just some crude implement that they were using. Right now, they are using big-time machinery. Who can do this? If you are not in government or you are not connected to this government, who can do this? And others are doing it because they are seeing government officials deeply in it. So they are also emboldened to do so. And I'm so worried it is only government that can stop this or reduce it to the barest minimum. And if you talk about this, you are always sounding political. Yes. Apart from politics, why are we experiencing this? Why are we experiencing this? As a country, everything as if there's no political leadership. And we can only stop this when we have the right political leadership. Other than that, we will talk in Parliament, and nothing will come out of it.
Thank you so much, Mr. Opong. Awolasewa, you wanted to say something?
Yeah, I wanted to say that Parliament has compounded the problem by passing LI 2462, which allows mining in forest reserves, including significant biodiversity areas. As a consequence of this, the Draw River Forest Reserve is being devastated, a once beautiful forest reserve. So I keep on making the call for a national strike, for a state of emergency. But Parliament should also have sat up and not passed LI 2462, which is most unhelpful. I describe it as a perverse piece of legislation, which is not helping us, which is also putting a place like Atiwa Forest Reserve under siege. Because you can mine anywhere, and we know that in Atiwa, for instance, 3 rivers take their source from there, and it's a source of water to over 5 million people.
Right. This is, so, I mean, the number one underlining thing here is that everybody is aware of the problem. So it's no longer about creating awareness. So let's talk about impact. Let's talk about costs, Doc. What does it cost the country now to clean this water a bit? From the documentary, we saw that that tiny measuring, I don't know, cup, about 2/3 of it was filled with silt. And not only that, it means that the equipment are breaking down because it's not, designed to handle that level of turbidity that we're experiencing. So what does it cost us now to deal with this, Doc?
Thank you very much. We have the present cost, and then we will have the future cost. So if you look at the present cost, which is treatment of water, like the officer of Ghana Water Company explained, what it means is that if you are treating 10 gallons of water, you are now getting about 3 or 4 gallons. And the cost that normally you would have treated 10, you will use more than that to treat 4. So that alone, just the operational cost. Now, when you come to the area of the equipment, they have to service the equipment more regularly than they would have. Because if it is a monthly maintenance, now you have to do it weekly. That comes also with a cost, and it interrupts the water supply, and therefore they are not able to produce to meet demand. Already at full capacity, Ghana was already struggling to meet full demand. Now we have to produce 30.
Can we put a figure to it? So what was the full demand, and what are we doing now?
So far, the coverage was close to 70%. So we already had 30% deficit in terms of water supply. Now we are reducing the full coverage. We cannot produce 100% now. We are producing about 40%. So that definitely brings the coverage much lower. And it is all because of the pollution of these water bodies. If it comes to the future costs, we cannot even begin to think about it, because I believe it will outweigh the profit or whatever we are getting from the gold. And it will take Ghana so many years to recover from this devastation.
You're saying if the current trend of this increasing turbidity continue, true to the words of Professor Ming, we might actually need to import water?
Well, as to whether it is even possible to physically import water, it is not an option to even look at. The cost implications, I doubt if we can do that, because then we have to rely on our neighboring countries, Ivory Coast or Togo, and these are also countries that cannot even supply 100% of water to their citizens. So how can they now give water to Ghana? So thinking of the possibility of importing water is not even a starter. We have to focus on preserving what we have that God has given us. Ghana is naturally endowed with water resources. We are lucky. We are the downstream countries. We are already importing water from the Volta Basin system. Water from Burkina Faso flows to Ghana. Water from Ivory Coast comes to Ghana, all the way from Mali. So naturally, we are already importing water, and we should make good use of it.
But we do need to ensure that water security, we have water security, not just for us, for future generations. Imagine we all leave this country, and this is what we leave behind us. Those coming in, what are they going to do? So what is the commission? Any collaborations? What can you do, or what are you currently doing to amplify or escalate this, the solutions that we need, so that we are not just, like Awula said, just talking about it?
Thank you very much. I think the solutions are very clear, and I want to agree with Honorable Oponga Samoa. It is not a complicated issue. We all know what to do. It is enforcement of the law, and that is where we are. Technical assessment, recommendations, all those we have done for so many years. We are just left with the enforcement bit of it. And I can tell you, if Ghana really wants to enforce these laws and get away with this galamsey menace, I think it won't even take us more than a month to clear them.
A month?
A month. That will be too long. It is a small matter in terms of the operations. I think the problem is the decision to do it.
Are you saying that if we stop today, if we stop the galamsey activities today, the impact of these galamsey activities can be reversed in a month?
No.
Okay.
It will take several years.
I want to understand, yeah.
I'm just saying in terms of the duration we need to stop. If enforcement starts today, within a month, we can have 100% elimination of all this situation. However, even after that, it will take Ghana several years.
What is
to recover.
several? Are we talking decades?
Decades. Yes, it will take Ghana decades. We can get our water back to normalcy probably within 4 or 5 years. But the land, the degradation of the land will take a long time to rehabilitate, and the cost that will be involved in doing that can take this country, so many years to recover. And we may never recover fully, but at least some resemblance of what it used to be before galamsey, we may get closer to that.
Hola, as eco-conscious citizens, how do we force the hands of government? He said that it's not a complex problem. It's just about the will, in this case, the political will to fix it.
On numerous occasions, that is the lack of political will. As has been said, it's not a question of not having the resources. It's the will that is absent. We need compliance and enforcement. And who can enforce? Eco-conscious citizens can't go and enforce. There's no point in awareness. Every single Ghanaian is aware of what is going on. As I said, we want to see Ghanaians dropping like flies. Already, there's an increase in birth defects, as you said, maternal deaths, kidney disease, neurological problems. Our immune system is being affected. There are serious challenges. And it's such a shame when you look at the political manifesto that we're not even bothered. We're rather thinking of licensing more mining operations. We don't seem to care. And it's a real shame. If our forefathers had been as selfish and greedy as we are, would we have come to meet anything? So we can only call on Ghanaians to stop thinking about today, but to think in a more holistic manner. You can do something. As I've said, the only thing that will force the hand of government to declare a state of emergency, and as has been rightly said, stop this menace today, is to declare a state of emergency. We can stop them straight away. Our military, which was, it was being proposed that we go to Burkina when there was a coup. We cannot even protect our own water bodies. Of course we can if the political will is there. We are being poisoned. The water may be clear, but it doesn't mean that it's not full of poison. So I think that if Ghanaians can understand what is going on, we need to go to Flagstaff House and stay there, call a general strike until the authorities understand that we don't give you power to come and just say you're putting your presidency on the line and then nothing happens. You are there to protect Ghanaians. And everybody has a role to play. The chiefs also have a role to play. The excavators and things cannot come there without the complicity of the chiefs.
And the reports we are getting is that they are very bold,
Of course they are bold.
They're fearless. They don't care who's watching, what they're doing.
Said, those who are involved. We heard about Akonta Mining, who were alleged to have been involved in destroying portions of the Tano Nimeri Forest Reserve. When the concerns were raised, Joy did a fantastic job. Journalists are putting their lives on the line. What did our president say? He proceeded to defend them. What we need is a proper investigation and prosecution. But they're emboldened because they know that nothing is going to happen to them.
Doc, are there any innovative technologies or policy measures, maybe technologies that we can use in the interim to fix or reverse the impact of these mining activities on our water resources? Any advanced technologies that can help, especially in desilting and purifying the water for domestic use purposes? Yeah,
there are technologies that we can use to clean our waters, but you can't even do that when the illegal mining is still ongoing. If we were to stop the operations of the illegal mining, then the next phase will be to look at how best we can clean our water bodies, and that is where the technologies will come in. But for now, what we can only do is monitor, get the information and data, and report, and then hope that there will be action, at least to stop this illegal mining. It used to be a little bit outside the buffer zone, but they have been emboldened to the extent that they are mining in the river, inside the river itself. So the situation is sometimes even getting the data and information can give you sleepless nights. But that is our job. We need to keep monitoring, and we need to have the information, and then we hope and we push for the action to be taken. And it has to be taken now. We can't wait any longer. Sometimes just looking at the data and information alone sickens me.
It sickens you? Yeah. So we are at, what, 14,000 NTU? And, good Lord.
And we are
Ghana Water Company is saying that they are struggling to supply water. We've seen the shortages in Cape Coast. And very soon, I pray it doesn't, but if we continue on this tangent, we might be experiencing a water shortage here in Accra. And you're saying until we actually stop galamsey, this doesn't go anywhere?
No, it's inevitable that we will definitely have water shortages in the southwestern part of Ghana.
This scares me.
That we cannot prevent if things continue the way they are going. Ghana Water Company cannot do anything about it, because if you are supposed to produce 100%, and now what you can get is 30 or 40%, and you have no other source of water to treat except what we are destroying, there's nothing Ghana Water Company can do.
Well, we should be wrapping up. I'll give you the first.
Yeah, Ghana Water Company are not magicians. They've been warning us, warning us, warning us. We've been like ostriches, burying our heads in the sand.
Yet our bodies are
exactly. And
exposed.
What I'll say is that Ghanaians need to sit up. Ghanaians need to sit up. We are being poisoned. There's no more time to talk. The time for action is yesterday. And if we don't act now, we'll reach the point of no return. As I'm sitting here, do I know how much poisoned water I've drunk? Even the bottled water, do we know exactly where it's coming from? So let's sit up before it's too late. Before everywhere you pass, people are dropping like flies. We need to start acting yesterday.
In fact, there was a time where you could just take water from your taps and drink. How many people are drinking water?
Something which I found very, very disturbing. I was at the launch for Poison for Gold, and I remember the head of the Minerals Commission actually saying that when he was a child, he could drink tap water, but now he would not permit his children to drink tap water because he cannot trust Ghana water to have actually purify the water. And yet he's the one granting licenses for people to go and mine in forest reserves. A word to the wise is in the north.
Doc,
yes.
Your final word.
Thank you. I think, like everybody said, the action has to be now. We cannot wait any longer. But as much as we are looking at government, I think at the community level, we can also start the action there. These lands that are being used for mining are for families, are for individuals, the chiefs, the local authority, the district assemblies. If we can all deal with the situation within our jurisdiction, I think we will not need the national level intervention. So I'm calling on the chiefs, landowners, families within these galamsey areas. Please, let's take action to save our own lives. Otherwise, Ghana has no future.
Some families are trying to do so, but these people are armed and take the land by force. Some of the galamseyers have been invading lands by force.
Anyway, just before we go, are you saying there's no regulatory measure right now preventing those mining in water bodies area? There's nothing like that preventing them.
The laws are there, but they are breaching the law, so you need to enforce it.
So there are laws.
There are laws.
There are laws. It's compliance and enforcement, and Ghanaians are allergic to enforcement.
You heard there Olasewa from Eco-Conscious Citizens. In the studio with me was also Dr. Bob Alpha, the Executive Director for the Water Commission's Ghana Water Resources Commission. And then on Zoom, Erastus Asari Donko joined us. He's an editor at Love FM. We also had a ranking member on Works and Housing Committee in Parliament, Mr. Vincent Opong Asamoah. Thank you so much for joining us. And I mean, really, it's the onus falls on us as citizens. If you see something, say something. If you see someone mining somewhere they shouldn't be, don't keep quiet and hope that it magically not affect you. We are all here feeling the effect of it. Now, anyway, there's more coming your way on the AM show. Please stick and stay.